Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Hello. This is Kristin Revere with Ask the Doulas, and I am so excited to chat with my friend, Dr. Lora Grasso. She has an extensive background in health and education, and our topic today is focused on health as a new mom and small changes that can be made to stay on top of your health at such a challenging time, whether this is your first baby or your fifth. Welcome, Dr. Lora Grasso.
Hi, it's so nice to be here, Kristin. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to get into it. And again, your background is so extensive. I figured it'd be better for you to really walk us through your journey in health and education and how it led you to focusing on supporting new moms with health coaching.
Sure thing. So I started off, I was always in health. My entire professional career, I was in health and education. And I started off with getting my bachelor's degree in health and physical education. I taught in public education for about a little over a decade until I had my wonderful twins, who are now 8 years old. In the process, yes, they're getting so big so fast. So true how that happens.
Yes, so true.
In the process, I also got my master's degree in exercise science. And I, of course, tend to take on the world and worked on my doctoral degree right as I was having my newborn twins. So that was
Of course.
Of course, never too much. So, that really was a wake-up call to this whole mothering thing and being able to do it all. And then when I went back into the workforce, I went into virtual education. Wonderful. I could be home with my kids and be there for them and have my own thing in education. I quickly worked my way up to assistant director at that company. Really loved it. And then just went on to find an opportunity teaching at an elementary school of my children. And that just did not work out for me. It was not for me. The schedule was tough with being basically a single mom at that point.
Right. And if a kid is sick, it's not like you can call off work and so much to navigate. Although the thought obviously was good to be in their own school. And
so I said, I always tossed around the idea of coaching because I've been trained as a personal trainer, have my ACE certified personal training and health coach certification, both of them since around 2001 to 2004. I've trained all age groups, capacities, all skill levels. I really love that. I've always been involved in the exercise arena. I've also competed in figure competitions, which is another thing a lot of people don't know about me, but it's a branch of bodybuilding. So that taught me a lot about nutrition, really. That gave me a lot of my background in that. And I said, why not now? I always wanted to do health coaching. Said, why not now when I'd left that job and decided to go out on my own and start my own health coaching because I knew mothers needed it. I know we always put ourselves last. I know we need all the help we can get and just that support too of each other. We're all going through this. We're there to help each other. And what can I do to make that whole process easier and simpler and just your everyday life better and not let your health go by the wayside because you're raising little ones.
Exactly. And your business, Apex Coaching with Lora, is so focused on moms and women based on your own personal experience. So I would love to get into some tips for our listeners and how to, again, make some actionable changes, what it might look like to work with a coach like yourself. You're the typical health coach with such an extensive background. So I'd love to hear more about how you can be helpful and what moms can do.
Right. Well, one of the biggest things here is there's no one size fits all and there's no fast fix. We all want that. We all want that instant gratification. Sure, it feels great, but it's not going to stick with you for life. So if you cannot look at a health change or a plan and say that you cannot stick with this for your lifetime or a very long time, then it's not the plan for you. And everyone is different. So the programs that I build are very comprehensive. You can't just look at what you eat and how you move. There's much more to it than that. Your daily behaviors, handling your everyday stress, your habits. Sleep is a huge one, and I'll talk about that more with new mothers because that impacts every aspect of your health: mental, physical, social. And
Absolutely. That is what we stress as postpartum doulas and sleep consultants. It can affect so much more than mental health. I mean, just it compounds. And so I love that you focus on that in your plans as well.
Yes. And there are lots of little tricks you can do. And that's my philosophy too, that if you want to sustain change, you want something you can stick with, it can't be this huge, all-encompassing, overwhelming change like a lot of these fads are. It has to be small, sustainable ones. So what I do is I look at what you like, what would stick with your schedule, how can it fit with your life? Not making your life fit to it, but how can it fit in your life? So sleep, for example, we know that first year, we try as hard as we can. We're not going to get as much sleep as we want. It's very baby focused that first year, at least. And we do the best to get it in where we can. But there are other tricks too, like using light is very important for maintaining your circadian rhythms and getting more quality sleep. Even if you're not getting quantity, there's a lot that you can do to help with quality. Like that first sunlight and sunset, there's a lower angle light that comes in. If you get that early light and the evening light, it helps to set your rhythms, which help you get better quality sleep. When you sleep, ensuring that it's cold, it's dark, it's quiet. Those are other things. Granted, you could have a crying baby. We all know that that's going to happen. We all know it's not realistic to think we're going to have the perfect sleeping environment. But when you do get sleep, doing that, if you need to take a midday nap, have blackout curtains and go, you can have someone else watch the baby so you can be in a quiet, dark, cooler place. That's going to make you feel better. I always say don't make any big decisions when you're sleep deprived because it affects you so drastically. I mean, I've been there. I know how it feels. I know how those days can seem way worse when you don't have that sleep.
Especially with twins. It's a whole different experience navigating feeding two and different sleep schedules, trying to get them on the same page as far as all of their activities throughout the day and night. So
absolutely.
give you a lot of credit.
Absolutely. A lot. But I mean, any new mother or any, like you said, after the fifth child, even though you have the experience, it's never a breeze. And every child's different. We know there's some children who are going to be more colicky and more difficult to handle. Think about what works with them too. You want them on as much of a schedule as you can, right? And you want to do that for yourself too. Going back to circadian rhythms and trying to get quality sleep, things you do throughout the day, like when you eat, when you move, any type of movement, doesn't have to be an extreme regimented exercise routine, just walking. Doing that at consistent times every day helps set that rhythm as well.
Yes, I love that. And so, Lora, as far as your typical coaching client, are there concerns more about getting back to their old size they had before having kids, or is it more in getting energy? Like, what are the top concerns? Is it weight or having a better diet or energy?
I think the biggest ones are fatigue and your pre-baby body, which really we have to learn to love and accept who we are after children, because there's just no way that you're going to be exactly what you are and who you were before you had kids. We think about physically, we're not the same in some way. My feet grew. That's one thing that I have extra skin. Like those are things that are just there. But you are different inside. How life-changing having a child is. And we have to learn to accept that. So we have to learn to accept the way our bodies are. But with that said, there are definitely things that we can do to make us feel more confident and stronger and gain more energy, because the most common complaint you hear about motherhood is I'm tired. I'm just tired. That creates that cycle too, because you're too tired to feel like you can exercise. But in the end, exercising is going to give you energy. So it's hard to get past that. And the biggest thing is building habits. There's great book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. Highly recommend a read for anyone out there.
I love that book as well.
So good. But one of the examples I like to explain it he gives in the book is when he's trying to get someone to go to the gym, and he said, just go every day for 5 minutes. And you probably think, what's that going to do for me? What you're doing in the beginning is strictly setting the habit. Get into the habit and change the identity, and everything else is going to follow. Once you start doing that, you're like, I am the person that exercises regularly. And you start to do it more. So the idea is don't bite off more than you can chew. Even if something as simple as you want to meditate every day, just start by getting your mat out every day and then go from there. Especially as mothers with very limited time, and that I always take that into account when I'm working with clients. We need to know what our schedule is, what's realistic. If you are absolutely not a morning person, morning workouts are not going to be for you. So
right.
You're setting yourself up for failure if you're like, every day I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and I'm going to exercise. You just have to do what's realistic and what's going to work for you. And you can always go up from there. You can always take more baby steps, since we're talking about babies, right? Just it's about being realistic and taking those small steps that you can sustain, that you can stick with.
Love it. And how do you factor in breastfeeding or pumping moms as far as their goals and their diet and ability to have the time to even work out when you're feeding a lot more frequently than using formula?
Hey, Alyssa here. I'm just popping in to tell you about our course called Becoming. Becoming a Mother is your guide to a confident pregnancy and birth, all in a convenient 6-week online program. From birth plans to sleep training and everything in between, you'll gain the confidence and skills you need for a smooth transition to motherhood. Live coaching calls with me and Kristin, tons of expert videos including chiropractic care, pelvic floor physical therapy, mental health experts, breastfeeding, and so much more. You'll also get a private Facebook community with other mothers going through this at the same time as you to offer support and encouragement when you need it most. If you'd like to learn more about the course, you can email us at info@goldcoastdoulas.com or check it out at thebecomingcourse.com. We would love to see you there. We also have a book called Supported, Your Guide to Birth and Baby, which makes a beautiful companion to this course. It's a great book for any expecting mother and is the perfect baby shower gift. You can find information on that book at supportedbook.com.
Well, a couple of things with that. I think a lot of us get stuck in what it means to work out or exercise. And it doesn't have to be this going to the gym, I'm doing this many sets and reps, or even I'm doing this YouTube workout. It's clearly put it in your mind as movement, especially that first year. Get out, walk your babies, take them on a daily walk, move more. Like when you're parking somewhere, parking further away, just getting strictly more movement in. And one thing a misnomer I like to clear up with breastfeeding, you do need more calories, right?
Yes.
You need 350 to 500 more calories. But you also need to keep in mind what that is. Because I think a lot of people think, and that's when their weight can get carried away, that I need to eat a lot more to sustain this. But in reality, up to 500 calories is 3 cups of popcorn. It's 2 slices of cheese on toast. It's 1.5 bagels with cream cheese. It's really, when you think about it, not that much. No. So being careful with that, and I'm not a big proponent of calorie counting. I do it in the beginning with a lot of my clients just to see kind of where we are. And it's usually a wake up call to say, oh, I didn't realize it was that much. But again, do you want to count calories for the rest of your life? So
obviously not.
Right. So realistically, we just need to do an assessment at first and then realize what we can sustain and what makes sense as far as the amount to make up for what we're doing, whether that's breastfeeding, whether that's working out, whether that's training for something. So I think people get a little carried away, and people do this too when they're pregnant with cravings. Like, I need to eat so much more for the baby. I need to eat so much more, which you definitely don't want to deprive your baby, but you also don't want to get misled on what you're intaking. and then set
Right.
yourself up for, hard to rebound from.
That makes perfect sense. And hydration obviously is key, especially if you're pumping or breastfeeding. Having water throughout the day is so important.
Absolutely. Hydration is huge. And especially, there's actually a link between your amount of sleep and hydration. So especially when you're not sleeping as much, you need to drink even more. So it'll be more trips to the bathroom, but very important as far as your health.
Exactly. Thank you for that. So, what are your other tips for small changes that moms can make in that first year?
I think a support system is huge as well. If you can have accountability and support within other moms, there's great Facebook groups. I have a Facebook group I started. I'm going to put out there that anyone is welcome to join. It's called Momentum Wellness Lounge. Momentum, like mom, M-O-M, Momentum Wellness Lounge. But, there's support in there. There's tips in there. I think another thing to keep in mind with those small things is your mental health. Having time for you, and everyone's like, I don't have time. It comes down to priorities. You have to make time for you. And I'm not saying 20 minutes even, I'm saying 5 minutes. Everyone could take 5 minutes out of your day to step away, to read for 5 minutes. Just lay there and do nothing for 5 minutes. Once again, it's the little things. And that's something that you can look forward to every day as well when you're in the chaotic realm of motherhood. That's so important with your mental health, whether that's writing things out too, getting things off your mind and onto paper helps a lot of people, but not
100% agree. Yeah, we talk about writing out the birth story and doing some journaling and meditating. So taking that time, and I know there's always that temptation if baby's sleeping to get on social media or answer some emails, but taking, as you mentioned, 5-10 minutes for yourself can change your entire day.
Yes, and I'd also say with social media, just be very careful. I mean, it's the perfect storm for depression, right? Because you're sleep deprived, which every single mental illness is linked to sleep in some way. So you're already sleep deprived. Your world is around this baby. You have this whole new identity that you're still trying to learn about yourself. And then you're going on social media, and people are depicting their best lives. People are going on vacations. People are having a blast. So it could be great for support, like go to some of those mom groups and vent or get advice, but also just be careful and just know everyone's putting out their best selves. There's a lot of people on there who are dealing with the same stuff that you are.
Right. And I do like that there's more vulnerability now on social media, and people are showing the messy house or talking about mental health struggles, but there's so much of that Pinterest perfect and Instagram lifestyle photos that are hard to keep up with. And so I really like your tips and finding a community like your community where you have moms going through the same thing at the same time, supporting each other.
Yes. And something that I will admit I struggle with too is ask for help. Ask for help. And someone, I think it was Brene Brown, brought up this in one of her books about, think about the other side of the help offer. Like, I know when someone asks me, I love to help. I love when people reach out for me and ask for help. So think about that next time that you're asking, that typically, especially the people who care about you and are around you, would want to help you.
Yeah,
but it's hard. It's hard for us.
And we're not mind readers. We often don't know how to help. So it's good to have that clear direction.
Yes, even for those 5-minute step-aways. I think anyone would love to help a new mother for 5 minutes.
Absolutely. So, Lora, what does it look like to work with you if our listeners are interested in moving forward with a consultation? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I offer free consultations, and that's just us getting to know each other and making sure that we're a right fit for each other. And from there, we're going to talk about everything. I mean, in order for it to be personalized, I need to really know what you like, what you don't like, what you're doing, what you'd like to do, your goals, your habits, your behaviors, where you see yourself in 5 years. So we go through a pretty in-depth analysis of where you are, where you'd like to be. And from there, you're going to get a very personalized plan. We try to do it again. I mean, that's a lot of factors that I take into account. So we pick out the big ones first, which usually nailing down the sleep. And I'll tell you, I've had clients and I've read in several pieces of literature, scholarly articles too, about people solely changing their sleep and seeing all these changes from it before even doing nutrition and exercise. So that sleep is going to be a big factor for new moms, especially. But Absolutely. I'll do it in a way that you're not overwhelmed because it's a lot of factors. It'll be very personalized to you. There'll be constant feedback, constant communication as far as, Laura, I don't really like this part, or I'm not doing well with this. So what could we change? And then it'll be consistent check-ins. And it's usually some of it, depending on the needs of the client, will be, I will assess and say when we need to check in, but sometimes client preference too, as far as what works best for them. So it's really a matter of getting to know the client, them getting to know me and my style, and figuring out how we can reach those goals together.
Love it. So what is the average length of time that a client works with you? Is it a year, 3 months, or is it different for everyone based on their needs?
Right. It's a little different. There's 3, 6, and year programs that we start with, and then people will renew, or some people will feel like, I'm good. I feel like I am good where I am right now. And some of those people come back too. So I always say, I'm here. This is up to you, what you feel that you need. I'm going to give my feedback and where I feel that you are and where you need to be as well as your support and your coach. But yeah, we have many ways to meet your needs.
Beautiful. Any final tips that we didn't chat about, Lora?
No, I think something I always say is think of what you would tell your best friend when you're giving advice, because we're so hard on ourselves, just as being a mother and trying to juggle it all. And think now that you have kids, think of what you would tell them. Think of how you would tell them to make sure they're taking care of themselves. And now we're always being the model for them. So they have such unconditional love. They're going to love you no matter what, but they're watching what you do. So if you're not taking care of yourself, what are you showing them?
So true. Excellent advice. So how can our listeners find you, Lora?
Yes. So my Instagram is LORAE5. It's a mesh of personal, and I put professional tips on there as well. But it's important for people to know me as a mother too. So that's why I do that. And my website is APEX, APEX-coaching-for, FOR-moms.mail, MAIL, chimp, CHIMP, sites, SITES.com. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, excellent. And we'll include all of that in our show notes and blogs so our listeners can find you easily.
And then the Momentum Wellness Lounge on Facebook as well. You would just have to send a message that you want to join, and I would approve you to bring you in.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us. Appreciate you, Lora.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And good luck. I'm rooting for all you new moms out there.
Definitely. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.